Oh my goodness, I am beat. That was I didn't film what I just did, but that was punishing. I made it to my favorite place on earth. This place has become my favorite place on earth. I came here in the fall, and I did a little video coming up here, and I wanted to come back up here in the spring, summertime when the flowers are blooming, and oh my gosh, this place is just magical. Look at this here. I'm standing on the edge of this lake here. Whew. It's just unbelievable. Look at this. And it's kind of tough to see in this shot, but there are flowers everywhere. Heather and beargrass and lupin and a ton of flowers I don't even know. It is just magical up here. But the climb was brutal. I came up here in the fall and it was hard, but it was also 20 or 30 degrees cooler. Today it's supposed to be 100 degrees in Missoula. It's probably 80, 85 up here, and it just zonked me. It probably took me close to 2 hours to go 1 mile. I mean, it's bushwhacking, and it's a 2,200 foot climb in about 3/4 of a mile, and it's all just bushwhacking up that steep stuff. But man, I had a moment where I thought, I had several moments on my way up where I thought, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm gonna have to go back down. But wow, unbelievable. Well, when I came up here in the fall, I just came up here for a night and was so amazed by this place. And my objectives now, I was thinking, midsummer, mid-July, the flowers should be blooming, and they sure are. There's no shortage of flower opportunities here. I'm in the Great Burn. I should mention that I'm in the Great Burn. I'm not going to tell you where because this is off trail quite a ways, and I don't want to give the location away. If you're really curious, feel free to message me, and I'll see what I can share. But this is such a gem of a place. The last thing I want to do is just go do a wholesale advertisement for it. Just know that I am in the Great Burn Recommended Wilderness, one of the great wild areas of our region. There's just something magical when you come over, when you crest the ridge to drop into this lake. It's just like one of the most magical little trails as you're walking down to the lake. It's just like you're walking into the Garden of Eden this time of year because of how lush it is and with all the flowers. It's just a really special area. And I'll shoot sunset tonight and sunrise tomorrow and be looking for animals all along the way. Should be great. Certainly great for wildflowers, that's for sure. There's even a lot of heather right on the lake shore. I better get camp set up and just get myself generally squared away and rehydrate. Holy cow. I drink a gallon of water on the way up here and I still feel completely parched. So I'm gonna keep downing some water. I'm gonna make camp and check in a little bit. So I actually did find a shot I'm really interested in. There's a little bit of light just hanging on this peak, and there's this little promenade in the lake, a little peninsula that has these beautiful rocks and old gnarly wood with flowers mixed in. It's idyllic. It really is amazing. So I'm getting the reflection of the mountain with the last little golden hour light on it, and then have this big, expansive, exaggerated foreground. So here's the composition. I got these two rocks kind of anchoring the corners and pointing into the frame with this cool piece of wood and flowers in between them. And then the challenging part for the composition, that part came together pretty easily as the foreground, but the challenging part here is, it's gonna be tough to see in this camera, but there's some flowers here and here that were intersecting with the background and creating some tension in the image. So I had to get the tripod at just the right height so that those flowers had a little bit of breathing room and didn't actually touch the reflection at all. One place I can't control here is there's a little tree that is kind of jutting in and actually, interacting with the reflection, but there's nothing I can do about that, because if I get the camera too high to eliminate that, if I get the camera any higher to eliminate that tension, there's going to be way too much negative space and we're going to lose the exaggerated foreground. So I'm just accepting that for what it is, and just going to let that live in the image. I decided to chop off these trees because if I include them, I can't really tilt the camera right now, but if I include those trees, there's so much blue sky and way too much negative space, it feels like, in the sky. So I'm electing to chop them off. I took a frame with the camera tilted up a little bit more to include the trees, but ultimately I think I prefer kind of chopping them off. I don't think it takes too much away from the reflection. It is a little hazy. There's some smoke in the air from the Miller Peak fire in our area. So it is a little hazy, not super crisp, clear air, but it's not too bad. I'm pretty close to this mountain, so it's clear enough, I think. Got some ripples coming in, taking away our reflection, but should come back. It's kind of been doing that for a little bit. So that's it, that's the composition. I'm just gonna keep shooting through golden hour until the light's gone, and then I'll call it for the day. One of the magical things I have to say, I don't wanna jinx it, there's no mosquitoes. I thought I was gonna get annihilated up here because it is so wet. It's a boggy meadow just to the north of me here, and then this is a stagnant bit of water. I thought I'd be eaten alive this time of year with how lush and wet everything is, but fingers crossed, no mosquitoes yet. It's so amazing, so pleasant. All right, just gonna keep shooting. Good morning, and a beautiful morning it is. The shot worked out this morning. I didn't film very much because I had to be handheld. The tripod wasn't tall enough where I'm at to achieve the image, so I had to be handheld, which was fine. It just meant I couldn't do much video stuff at all. Sunrise worked out kind of as I expected, where we got direct light on the peak. I mean, it is another clear summer day, so you know, great for first light on a peak, setting up an image where the feature is high peak, warm light on it, and then some sort of foreground to balance it out. That's kind of what I had in mind, knowing that there probably wasn't going to be any clouds. There really aren't, at least to the west. There are a little bit to the east. At least there's smoke to the east, maybe not clouds. I think I got an image that I like. One of the challenges I had is I was focus stacking, and it's actually quite breezy this morning, so the flowers were constantly in motion, but I tried to time it with the least amount of breeze when the wind died down just a hair. The other factor that affected was the lake. It's a little bit choppy, not a mirror as I would have hoped, but it wasn't a feature of the shot. It wasn't the main component, and this shot wasn't dependent on a reflection to work, so that's all right. It all worked out in the end anyways. But yeah, pretty happy with this morning's shoot. Really just, I'm blown away by the flowers up here. I mean, it is just a sea everywhere you look. Different colors. We got red, yellow, light yellow, white, purple, magenta. I mean, check this out. The flowers here are bananas. Got all these yellow guys I was photographing this morning. And then if we look down here, it's just a cascade of flowers down to the lake. And then up to the peak there. It's unbelievable. Oh, wow. And then there's bear grass. We don't have any bear grass in this immediate area, but if we come over here, the flowers just go on forever. Just a garden, a true garden. I'm just blown away. I've never seen anything like this. I've been in a lot of alpine meadows with the different blooms and stuff, but this is just a whole other level. One of the things that kind of obscured the sun initially this morning was this over here. Smoke. I'm afraid we're in for it now. There are a ton of fires in western Montana, and there's no relief in sight. Just 100-degree temps every day for the foreseeable future. Not great for the middle of July. My plan for today is I'm just going to take it easy around camp, scout out some sunset shots, and then get up this mountain, because I've been up it 4 times maybe, and I still don't think I've been to the true summit. There's maybe 5 or 6 summits that are super close in height. This mountain is massive. It extends for several miles, and along the top of it, it's probably a mile or 2, maybe more, 2 or 3 miles of ridgeline with peaks on it that all look to be about the same height. And I don't think I've been on the actual tallest one. So I'm gonna go up and see if I can figure that out today and find the tallest one. But other than that, a pretty low-key day. All right, time to get this day started. After about 10 years of very casually trying to get up here, I finally made it to the top of this mountain. As evidenced by this giant cairn. This mountain is massive. I mean, it's just huge. If you look over here, over my shoulder, there's another summit, and then another one, and another one. There's three right behind, four right behind me. And when I was up here in the fall, I got up 2 of them, the ones over here, and they're all within just a few feet of each other. They're all just a hair over 7,600 feet. And then over here, you even have another summit. That one's maybe 7,400 or 7,500 feet, but I've always, I'm not a peak bagger. I kind of used to be a peak bagger, but I'm not really anymore. So it's just kind of a casual effort to just maybe more of a curiosity walk to come up here and finally find the official cairn for this mountain. Feels like I'm closing the loop on something I've been doing for 10 years. It's kind of cool. This mountain just blows my mind every time I'm here. And when you see it from across the Great Burn, it just is, it's so imposing. It is massive, and these big summits are all extremely craggy with subalpine meadows, so that it looks like alpine. It's subalpine, but it looks like alpine, and it has that majesty of an alpine peak, even though it's not. It's just spectacular. And then you got this big wall over here. I love this part. That's the part that's right above my campsite. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So clearly I'm not up in that basin anymore. I got back to camp and clouds just totally moved in, and it looks like we're socked in, which is fine. I just realized there wasn't much else for me to do photographically up there, and I also was kind of hungry to photograph the falls down here in the valley that I came from. So that's what I'm doing. I moved my camp back down into the valley and headed back up to the falls about 4 hours before sunset. Nice diffused overcast lighting. I'm gonna make some dinner and then work some shots up here. I feel good about this decision. And I just love hanging out at these falls. They're one of maybe my favorite cascade and falls to photograph. So I'm gonna get up there, make some dinner, watch the falls, watch the dippers, and then I'm gonna get started. Well, this is the Wildflower Diaries after all, so there's got to be some, there's got to be some drama, some low-level drama. I couldn't find anything. I just couldn't find any shots up there. There were flowers, and I thought there probably are opportunities for
some cool compositions with the flowers that are around. But once I assessed each of them up close, there were things obscuring the space between the flowers and the creek and the falls, and the shots just didn't quite work. So I'm back at camp. It's about 8 o'clock at night. It's okay time to be back at camp, I suppose. I'm a little, I don't know, I'm feeling just a tad off. Like I just can't figure out what I want, which is I think partially due to where I am. There's very limited opportunities for shots here. I had the opportunity up in the basin, and I think I made good on that. I guess if I were up there I might have more opportunities, but the light is just not great. It's just become overcast with a dense layer of clouds, and below that a dense layer of smoke, so the light's really wacky and doesn't look great. So nothing would have happened up there, and I'm trying not to beat myself up for coming down, but yeah, I don't think anything would have changed being up there. The light wouldn't have been conducive to good photography, so I don't know. Sunrise, you know, it's I don't think it's worth going back up to those falls. There isn't a composition to be had, especially for sunrise looking east. So I think I'm gonna skip that. But there is another set of falls, maybe a half mile to a mile downstream, which I have to go anyways. So I'm considering packing up super early and just going down there to shoot sunrise. Because there were nice sets of wildflowers that I scoped out for compositions, and a few compositions that might actually work. So there's some opportunities there for sure. But yeah, I think I just got to commit to doing that. Try to salvage the last day of this trip. At minimum, it's been good to get out. I'm getting a little bit down on myself for not having stronger photography aspirations here. Just coming out of a depression, I'm giving myself grace to understanding that I got out here. Like, that was a good step for me to actually get outside and go. So gotta count this as a win, even if not feeling the most motivated to make images. Yeah, that's kind of where it stands. I think I'm gonna head to bed early tonight, dive into my book, get a good night's rest, and try to get out of here before sunrise to get down to those falls. I think I can do it if I set my mind to it and my alarm. I think it can happen. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning. First things first, maybe the most obvious thing, I didn't get up for sunrise. I can't believe how much I slept. Probably got in the tent around 9 last night, and then it was like 8:30. I didn't get out until 10 this morning. I was positively wiped. I mean, I just felt this deep tiredness. I think it was the heat, and the last 2 days have just been huge efforts getting up into the basin and then getting up the mountains, and in all of that heat is just, I don't know, it hit me harder than I'm used to. Usually I can bounce back a little bit better, but I must have needed it. So no shoot this morning. My plan here is to pack up and walk the 6 or so miles out. Felt good to rest. I mean, this trip largely, well, I should say largely. The first 24 hours were super intense. But I envisioned this trip as a trip of rest in the wilderness. And I suppose that has happened now in the last 24 hours. I got 12 or 13 hours of sleep. So there we go. All right, I'm gonna finish my coffee, pack all this stuff up, and get the heck out of here.